All right, let's get this out of the way. The hair is gone. There, I said it. I'm sorry. Very sorry. Anyways, welcome to this review. I'm going to be going over 3 devices: ROG Ally, Steam Deck, and the Nintendo Switch. So the reason why I wanted to do a review of these 3 units is because these are the probably most affordable, good handheld gaming devices out on the market right now. The Legion Go did just come out, but it is a little bit more expensive than the ROG Ally. It's a little more powerful, but I think at that price it's starting to get out of reach for people. So, and plus I don't have it, I just have the ROG Ally. Now this video is for those of you that are debating on one of these 3 devices, or even getting an upgrade to the new Steam Deck OLED edition that was just announced and is coming out in a couple weeks. And this isn't really a review of which one of these 3 devices you should buy over the other. It's more of, I want to go over what are the pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages of each of the 3 devices. Now, I'm not really going to be talking about the Steam Deck OLED because I don't have it, but I do want to get it. We'll see how that goes. First off, I want to say that I'm a huge Steam Deck lover and enjoyer. When I got it, it really did blow me away, changed my world. Very similar situation to what it was like when I got my Switch back in, what was it? Geez, forever ago at this point, 2017 or something like that. When the Switch first came out, I was there for release, standing outside in the cold of a GameStop to pick mine up. Didn't have to do that with the Steam Deck, luckily. Just ordered it online. Didn't have to do that with the ROG Ally. Ordered it online. So, things have changed. One of the reasons why the Steam Deck really changed the game was because instead of being a typical $1,000+ handheld gaming PC that was coming out left and right, mostly by like the IA people, the Steam Deck came out at $400. You can get up to paying $650 for the higher storage option at the time. Now it's a little bit different with the new OLED coming out. But it was a real game changer for handheld gaming because you have the power of Steam in your hands, so you can play all sorts of games at better performance than you would get with the Switch. Now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna go through some quick specs for you. I'm gonna try to keep this as quick and painless as I possibly can. We're gonna start off with the Switch. I have the OLED, so I'm going to be using the Switch OLED as a comparison for this video. And the Switch OLED has a 7-inch touchscreen OLED display, goes up to 60 Hz refresh, comes with 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and you can do expanded SD storage up to 2 terabytes. It's rocking a very old NVIDIA Tegra CPU GPU chip. It's really showing its age. Games do not run or look very good on the console, unless it's like first-party Nintendo games. And you'll see about a 4.5 to 9 hour battery life with the Nintendo Switch OLED. Now with the Steam Deck, this is the original release, not the OLED one. Comes with a 7-inch LCD touch display. It goes up to 60 Hz refresh rates. Forgot to mention, Nintendo Switch OLED 720p display, Steam Deck 800p display, so a little bit higher resolution. At the time, came in 3 storage options: 64 gig, 256, 512. The one I have is the 512 with the anti-glare etch display. And you have a SD card memory expansion in there. Goes up to 2 terabytes as well. Now this current Steam Deck has a AMD Zen 2 CPU GPU chip inside of it, and it runs on Linux OS. Does not run on Windows. Steam OS, Linux, you know, kind of interchangeable. But you get about 2 to 8 hours of battery on the Steam Deck, depending on what game you play and what settings you set up. Because it is like a mobile PC, you can tweak your settings to try to get more battery life for less performance, or max performance for less battery life, depending on which game you're playing. Finally, the ROG Ally, 7-inch display, LCD, 120 Hz refresh rate, and it's 1080p. With it at launch, you get the 512 gigabyte version with the Z1 Extreme AMD CPU GPU chip on there. Quite a bit more powerful than both the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch combined. And ROG Ally runs Windows 11, and you'll get about 1 to 7 hours of battery life with it. And with the ROG Ally, with it being Windows, you get a little bit more customization stuff going along with it. So you can change your power profiles, so use as little or as much power as you want, has like battery saving features. It's a Windows PC handheld gaming device. So lots of customization for software that you can do with it. Now, hopefully I didn't bore you out of your minds with that. I'm sure most of you already knew all that. Here's another little bit of numbers I want to throw out there for these devices. And this is in terms of power measured by teraflops, something a lot of people online don't like, but I'm going to do it for your average consumer. Now, as far as teraflop performance, the Nintendo Switch, you get about 0.71 teraflops of performance with it undocked. Docked, I think you get about 0.8, 0.7 something, so not a whole lot more. Steam Deck, max teraflop performance you get is about 1.8 teraflops, quite a bit more powerful than the Nintendo Switch. Now with the ROG Ally, max performance, and in order to get the max performance with the ROG Ally, you have to be plugged in to a power source that's delivering enough power to the unit. Otherwise, anything less than what's needed, you're not going to get max performance. But at max performance of 30 watts, you're looking about 8.6 teraflops of performance. So quite a bit more than both Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch combined. But to be fair, ROG Ally uses about 4 times the power of the Switch OLED and about double the power that the Steam Deck uses. So take that as you will. And like I said, you have to be plugged into a viable power source for the ROG Ally, which makes it more or less like a plugged-in device instead of like a portable walk anywhere you want device. Mind you, you can do that. You just won't get max performance with the ROG Ally. Now I will say, right off the bat, ROG Ally games look the best of all 3 devices with its 1080p 120Hz display. But typically I don't really reach 120Hz in my games. It really depends on the games that you're playing. And if you're plugged into a power source. Now, for instance, running a game like Fate Extella Link across all 3 devices, you'll see that ROG Ally looks the best, bar none, of all 3, as long as it's plugged in. Well, even if it's not plugged in, it still looks better. Steam Deck comes in second place. Nintendo Switch OLED comes in like dead last. There's no competition. Looks like trash. I will say for the Switch OLED, the colors look very nice. Saturation, view angles, looks very nice on the Switch OLED. But Steam is coming out with a Deck OLED, so it's going to be another advantage that the Nintendo Switch OLED is going to lose. Now, for some other things that can really make or break a decision between the 3 devices if you're shopping for them, especially with the Deck OLED coming out pretty soon, is, at least for me, the comfortability of using the devices. Switch OLED, it's not very comfortable to use. ROG Ally is just barely more comfortable to use. Honestly, I don't know how people can play anything for extended periods of time using the ROG Ally because like there's nothing much there. After a long gaming session with that thing, I never wanted to play another game on it again because my hands were cramping and hurting so bad on it. Could be because of my old man hands. I tried holding it in various different positions because I saw online that certain people were saying that you have to hold it in a very specific way for it to not be super uncomfortable. But the fact that you have to do that, it's not very comfortable. So for me at least, handheld comfortability, Steam Deck wins bar none. It's the most comfortable of the 3 by far. I would much rather play anything on the Steam Deck versus the other 2 devices. Now, another thing to think about is ease of use. If you're not somebody that wants to spend a whole lot of time tinkering around with your devices, I would suggest going with the Switch because it's the easiest one to use. Everything works. You don't have to tinker around with settings or download this, download that, try to sign into that. You buy a game, download it, play it. I love how easy that is, especially as a dad, because you don't have a whole lot of time to tinker around with stuff. I would say the next easiest device to use would be probably the Steam Deck, just by a little bit. And that's just because of SteamOS. It really does streamline PC gaming for the most part. You can dig deeper into customization if you want because it is a PC, but you also don't have to, so you can just play with default things, not tinker with anything, and for the most part your games will work. I say for the most part. Because it is running on Linux, there are many games that do not work properly on it. So that is a bit of a bummer. I was trying to play something like Assassin's Creed 2 today. I was trying to play Fate Extella Link offline. It doesn't work, so that's like my major drawback for PC gaming is PC gaming itself. It can be very hit or miss. You can have great days You could be like the luckiest person in the world and never have any issues, or you could be like me, where you have every single issue that can possibly happen, like all the time. They call me El Breaker of things for a reason. I've had to do a factory reset on my ROG Ally 3 times now because of software issues that I've run into. And I don't even do anything that crazy with my devices, or yeah, for the most part, I don't do anything crazy with them. I'm not downloading custom OSs, or I don't even downloading streaming apps or video recording apps. I don't do much of anything. I just try to use my devices to play games. I hate PC gaming for the most part, and it's especially worse on the ROG Ally with Windows 11. While yes, most if not all PC games will work on the ROG Ally because it is Windows, but then you can run into a bunch of other issues. My most recent issue I was having was that for some reason it would not stay connected to the internet, and I have 2 different routers in the house, so I tried to connect it to both of them. It will connect, stay connected for like a minute, and then disconnect. Connect it to the next router, connect, stay connected for like a minute, then disconnect. I would lose connection like all the time. I even tried downloading drivers. I've done everything I could short of doing a factory reset, which I had to do, which means that downloading all my games again, which can be huge because games these days aren't small, and just having to reset up everything again, sign into things again. It's a pain, and having to do that 3 times now sucks. I've only had to do a factory reset on my Steam Deck once, and that was definitely user error because I was tinkering around with it a bit. Nintendo Switch, don't really have any issues besides it being so underpowered. Now, if you're somebody that's really just looking for performance, wanting your games to look the best, run the best that they can, obviously something like the ROG Ally is going to be the one for you. But like I said, Windows, terrible for gaming. It's not very comfortable to use, just barely more comfortable than the Switch OLED. Requires a lot more tinkering because you're going to have to download all of PC gaming. You have to download like 6 different launchers for 2 different games. It's a headache. It really is a headache for me. Switch OLED would be the easiest to use. You don't have to worry about much. Just buy your game, download it, play it. If you're somebody that doesn't like to tinker around at all, you just want things to work, Switch OLED is the way to go. Your games aren't going to look or run the best, but it'll work. Steam Deck is my personal choice from all 3 of these devices, especially with the OLED coming out. I really want that OLED one. But you do still have like some caveats with it. Not all games are going to work because it does run on Linux, and it's not as powerful as the ROG Ally, so you won't get as good performance. It's not a 1080p display. The one I have is a 800p display with 60 Hz refresh rate. The new OLED version coming out is coming out with a slightly bigger display and actually has a 90 Hz refresh rate. Still 800p, which I think is perfectly fine for a handheld gaming device. Like 720p is personally fine for me too for a handheld gaming device. 800p, I think is a perfect sweet spot. You get more detail for your games than 720p, and it's better for performance than it would be to try to use 1080p. 800p is perfectly fine. I can't really tell the difference all the time between 720 and 1080, sometimes between the Switch OLED and the ROG Ally, besides the terrible performance and whatnot, but that's beside the point. I love the power of the ROG Ally. I love the refresh rate of the ROG Ally, but I'm not going to hang on to it. I'm actually listing the ROG Ally right now to be sold so I can get at least some of my money back for it. I'm going to keep this Steam Deck. Obviously, I'm going to keep the Switch OLED because I like to use it for the not so demanding newer games, more like visual novels because it's so light and easy to use. It's lighter and easier to use than the Steam Deck. So if I'm just like doing simple games that I don't feel like need that much performance, I prefer to Switch OLED. But for the newer games coming out, like the Fate Samurai Remnant, looks way better on the Steam Deck, runs better on the Steam Deck than it does on the Switch OLED. So for games like that, I prefer the Steam Deck. Probably especially so with the OLED that's coming out. Honestly, what I was feeling with the announcement of the Steam Deck OLED is probably going to replace my Switch for the most part. I say for the most part because it is Linux. Not all games are going to run on it. Like I said earlier, I was trying to run Assassin's Creed 2 on the Steam Deck and it just will not work because of Ubisoft and Uplay. It's just like a PC thing that I just cannot stand. So those are my thoughts. Overall, I picked the Steam Deck over 3. Runs perfectly fine for me. 800p, perfectly fine for me. 60 hertz, perfectly fine for me. SteamOS, perfectly fine for me. Much better than Windows. I want to say it's better than whatever Nintendo has on its device, because the OS on Nintendo's device, if you try to go into the App Store, the game store, you're gonna have a bad time. It's so slow and laggy. I don't understand. It frustrates me. But on the other hand, you know that all the games are gonna work on the Switch OLED. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm keeping the Steam Deck over the ROG Ally because I'm a crazy person. I love all the extra features you get with the Steam Deck, because it's not just SteamOS that's so nice about it. You also get your 2 trackpads, you got your gyro, you got your touch gyro thumbsticks or whatever. There's so much technology that goes into the Steam Deck that I think people kind of overlook when comparing it to stuff like the ROG Ally or the Nintendo Switch, but especially the ROG Ally. Yes, the ROG Ally is super powerful, higher resolution display, higher refresh rate. It has variable refresh rate on the ROG Ally, but the Steam Deck, there's so much technology that's going into this. You get your 4 back buttons. You only get 2 with your ROG Ally, even though I don't ever use these. Like I said, you get the touchpads. These touchpads are great for playing things like RTSs. Like, I can actually play my Total War Shogun 2 on the go with this thing. So I can actually walk around with this thing and not have to worry about performance drop from what I'm used to having it plugged in, but I do with the ROG Ally. And you know, the other technologies, you got the thumbsticks with the touch sensors, and with it not being Windows, the standby mode on and off is so much nicer, so much easier than it is for the ROG Ally. Sometimes with the Ally, I have to go through these boot. It's almost like playing a guessing game of what I need to do exactly for the ROG Ally to get it to turn on. Sometimes I can just get it to turn on by just pressing the power button. Other times I gotta hold it and hope I don't hold it just that too long for it to have to shut down and then have to go through the whole booting up animation again, loading and all that. It's just Windows. It's not good. SteamOS, I wish Windows had like a SteamOS kind of OS for gaming, because I hate Windows. It's not good. So standby with this is great. I can just put games on standby. So easy. The interface is great. Plus, this has a desktop mode if you need it or want it, so you can use it like an actual PC, kind of like the ROG Ally, just on Linux. And yes, not all games are going to work on it. There are some games for PC that won't work on the go, like Fate Excel Link. If I put this on airplane mode, I cannot play that game on airplane mode. For some reason, that single player game needs the internet, versus the Switch OLED, where I can play it without internet. So weird PC quirks that you have to think about, but I prefer this device over the other two. Probably especially so the OLED version of it, which I'm going to try to get. And I'm selling the ROG Ally. I got a PC, full-fledged PC to replace it, because in my mind, if I have to be plugged in to play the ROG Ally at its max performance, I might as well get a PC, because I'm just going to be sitting somewhere anyways to get the max performance on an uncomfortable device, versus having an actual PC that I can just sit in a comfortable chair, use a comfortable controller, and get more performance. So my thoughts on the 3 devices: very much looking forward to this deck OLED, because it's going to be lighter, bigger display, brighter, OLED, and quieter. I guess that's one thing I didn't mention. The fans on the Steam Deck are the loudest of the 3, ROG Ally next quietest, and sometimes I even wonder if the Switch OLED has fans in it, but beside the point. I guess if you have any more questions, just ask them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. It's been a long time since my last upload. Hopefully I can get into a better schedule. I keep saying that like every time. If you liked the video, like it down below. If you didn't like it, dislike it, tell me why you disagree with me. I guess I'll catch you later. Peace. Oh, and this is like a late piece that I forgot to throw in there. One thing that the ROG Ally can do that the other 2 cannot do is that you can get an eGPU for the ROG Ally, so you can give it way more performance. But my question is, why would you do that, especially when they're so freaking expensive? You can get, I think, the 3080, the NVIDIA RTX 3080 eGPU for the ROG Ally. That thing is just as expensive as my PC for just that eGPU. No. If you're going to be plugged in, if you're thinking about the ROG Ally and the eGPU, please don't. Buy a full-fledged, like a pre-built PC. You'll get more performance, and you're going to be stuck connected somewhere anyway, so This doesn't support each view. Obviously the Switch OLED doesn't either, but don't really need it because the point of this is to be able to walk around with it. I guess you can get it if you want to use it as a replacement for an actual tower PC, but they got to be reasonably priced, man. $2,000 for a previous generation GPU is just insane to me. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, I'm out.